Congresswoman, welcome back to the program.
Thanks so much, Charlie. And I have to tell you, that was the best conference. There were so many young women, and I was so impressed with many of them. And it was very good to see. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. So I want to dive into some of your remarks there, but first I want to clear up just some of the confusion from our audience. Tell us about your vote on the debt ceiling, why you voted on it, and because our audience is asking about it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. I don't know if many people saw the news articles, but when I came to Washington that week for the debt ceiling, I had called it basically a crap sandwich, but I used another word. It was something I never wanted to vote on, and I was having a really hard time with it and understanding the bill. But I spent a lot of time talking with Thomas Massie, who has the most fiscally conservative voting record in Congress, and I vote just like Thomas Massie most of the time. And talking with Thomas Massie, there's a plan in the debt ceiling bill that allows us to use appropriations the way they're meant to be used. It separates the appropriations into 12 separate bills, which is extremely important. That stops an omnibus bill. And if Congress cannot approve 12 separate appropriation bills, it automatically goes into a CR, a continuing resolution that continues funding, except it cuts 1% of the government. So that's a 1% cut in spending after already an agreed upon $1.5 trillion cut in spending. Those are the only things in the bill that I thought were important. And I agreed with Thomas Massie on voting for that for a plan, because we need to use appropriations. That's the only tool we have to fight against the weaponized government. And I want to go ahead and announce on your show, I just tweeted it out a little while ago, that I'm writing an appropriations rider to defund Special Counsel Jack Smith's office and investigation. And I refuse to vote for any appropriation bills that fund the weaponized government or things like the FBI's new headquarters in Virginia. This is the way that Republicans can fight, and I'm committed to using appropriations for that battle.
Which will be a bigger headquarters than the Pentagon. Just to be clear, we now have a domestic police headquarters that would be nicer and better furnished than the Pentagon. Really makes you think about the priorities of our government. Okay, I want to play a piece of tape here, Congresswoman, of your remarks at our Turning Point USA Young Women's Leadership Summit, play cut 12.
You're told you can't say things like this, and I'm going to say it. I just drove up to here at the Gaylord, and I saw 3 flags. And one of the flags, which was just as big as the other ones, our United States flag, the Texas flag, was the rainbow flag. Shame on them. Shame on them for hanging that flag out there. Because it shouldn't be about what people do sexually that causes us to hang a flag somewhere. The only flags that should ever be hung should be our United States flag, and it's big and beautiful in the back of this room, and a state flag. So shame on the Gaylord.
Yep. Now that's, of course, pushed by Marriott corporate. We did our best to try to get it removed, and we failed. So and you want to elaborate? By the way, this is not an isolated incident, Congresswoman. The Biden White House had the gay flag prominently displayed this weekend. We could pull that up, where it wasn't just the gay flag, it was the trans flag, new one, with the American flag playing second and third fiddle. So we could put this up on screen. The gay flag had prominence to the American flag flanking it. Your thoughts, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Absolutely. I called them out because the Pride movement is not about rights for gay people anymore. That has been totally determined for a very long time. Every single American has equal rights. They have the equal right to vote, equal right to be able to buy a home, to have a job if they qualify for job qualifications, get an education, and so much more in America. But that flag that you're showing there, that the White House and Joe Biden prominently displays as more important than the United States American flag, has become a symbol of aggression. And it's an aggression in a type of form that should be concerning to all Americans, and it is to most Americans. This is a sexual agenda, and it's a sexualizing of children, grooming children to believe a complete lie that they can change their gender. And the sexualization and grooming of children to train children to believe that the way they have sex when they get old enough to have sex is how that should identify them as a person is the most perverted, it's abhorrent, it's evil, and it's an attack on our children who are the most innocent among us. And I'm completely disgusted with us. And I call on many people in the gay community. I call on them to stand against this because their movement has been hijacked. And last night, Charlie, I'll finish up one more thing. In the night last night where I live in Washington, D.C., late into the night, all I heard was the crowd all around, all over the streets, having the Pride Festival continuing on. And when I had to drive back to my condo yesterday, I witnessed so much of it as we drove through it all. I mean, I even saw one woman that had no pants on. And this is where families were. There were children present. And I mean, you've seen the videos. They're all over Twitter and how disgusting this is. This has nothing to do with equal rights. This is a movement that has been hijacked, and it is being used to push the worst sexual perversion that we have ever seen in modern day history. And I'm calling it modern day Sodom Gomorrah.
Modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Media Matters, make sure you quote that one. You know, it's interesting you say that. There is no such thing as a secular society. I use that sometimes. There will be something that replaces whatever religion used to exist. If it was Judeo-Christian values or Christianity, people are not going to believe in nothing. They need symbols. They need traditions. They need rituals. It's part of who we are as a species. And so you remove Christianity, you remove the country, yet you're going to replace it with pagan pleasure, which is what Pride Month is all about. And they say it's all just about celebrating love. And I mean, we have some grotesque images we could throw up there. But the Biden regime, again, this is not some sort of fringe thing. This is not just some sort of thing that happens in some sort of strange gay bar at 2 a.m. in San Francisco. This is your government, right? There's some images right there. This is your government, not just our government. It looks like the German government, and 10 Downing Street is also with the trappings there. I know we have you only for one segment because you have to go vote, Congresswoman. I want your reaction on Donald Trump. Do you believe Donald Trump is gaining popularity in the Republican primary? What are you hearing from the grassroots?
Well, I tell you what, I think that President Trump has had their support all along. The base never left him, ever. But the weaponization of government and what we're seeing coming out of the Department of Justice with communist tactics that we've witnessed for several years now is appalling to so many people that not only has it solidified his support among the base, but he is pulling support among independents, even Democrats, and those Republicans that were supporting other candidates like Ron DeSantis and others. And so this is so unreal to me. Like I said, I've announced today that I'm writing an appropriations rider to defund Jack Smith's special counsel. But we need to go further. What I read on the 1023 form on Friday of last week that has clear evidence that Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe in order to get Viktor Shokin fired, the prosecutor in Ukraine that was investigating Burisma. This is to a point where I think it's all hands on deck. We must impeach Joe Biden. We have enough evidence. It's unbelievable. The people support it, and everyone sees it clear as day. But President Trump is innocent. The people know it. And I firmly believe that he will win the presidential election, not just the primary, but the general in 2024.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I know you have to go vote. Thank you so much for your leadership, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Charlie.